what happens with the open market once we've passed through the phase of doing hackathons. So we'll start with a brief round of introductions. My name is Ornella Web3. I do Web3 education at Bankless Academy, free education for everyone, and yeah, just happy to facilitate this conversation. David, please take it away.
Hi, yeah, I'm David McGovern. I'm with Chainlink Labs. So for those of you who don't know, Chainlink is mostly known as a Oracle network, so delivering data feeds that's powering DeFi, so applications like Aave, GMX, etc. The platform that Chainlink has is more generalizable than that, so it's primarily concerned with off-chain compute, trust minimized calculations. So the first use case of that was price feeds. And through that price feeds, we've now enabled 10.5 trillion worth of transactions on chain. So that's obviously the entire market cap multiple times over, but that's every time a transaction touches a Chainlink price feed at this point is that. We've also now branched out into many other things, so like automating compute, cross-chain messaging with CCIP, and multiple other, I suppose, distinct compute that needs to happen off-chain due to the nature of blockchains, so they can do some things extremely well, but knowing things that happen outside of that chain is not something they can do. So at any time, that's where Chainlink would come in.
Fantastic, thank you. Leyla.
Hi everybody, I'm Leyla Karaha, and just for disclaimer, I'm not a techie, although I happen to be in tech space these days, and I'm very new in Web3 space. I have a community called YourY Network. We are a community of social entrepreneurs and social innovators. I don't know if you know anything about social enterprise space. I usually say that in social enterprise, it's when a charity and a normal business have a baby. That baby will be a social enterprise. It's an organization that have a sustainable business model, but with social impact driven values. And I'm also a Techstars community leader, so I organize a lot of startup weekend events. If you haven't been to a startup weekend, we are like ideation-thon, so not a proper hack. We don't hack, we don't build anything, but we're more like build the idea. So it's a lot of customer validation, weekend bootcamp. Yeah, so that's a little bit about my.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I guess it's important to understand that to make the best Web3 possible, right? We need the best of both worlds, the non-techie, the techie, and yeah, learn how to build things together to move things forward. So speaking in this area, let's focus not on the prices at all. We're going to talk about how we can build things that are really important. So considering the latest developments in Web3, David, can you share what's the importance of for example, real world assets, scalability and L2s? Why is all of that important in the real world?
Okay, one thing Leyla missed was you're also competing as a hacker at ETHDublin, so thank you for taking the last half an hour of your time before submission for us. In terms of, things we're seeing in the market, so RWAs has been a hot topic for a long time. The giant that we're seeing coming into the market is capital markets. So people kind of refer to them as the banks, the bank chains. They tend to be more like asset management. So we've already seen BlackRock and the Biddle Fund. There's a lot of work that is being done behind the scenes with a lot of major asset issuers with major banks. And we've seen, I guess, the trend for them right now. You see things like JP Morgan chain, which was a threat, I used to say to people back in 16 and 17, but then it ultimately became a reality. However, I don't think it's something we should be afraid of. I would predict that we're going to see over the next number of years, we're going to see a large amount of those institutions creating their own chains. I was pleasantly surprised that BlackRock skipped that step and went straight to Ethereum. I think it was amazing with the Biddle Fund. But I would say the trend overall is that we're going to see the bank chains or the private blockchains make a comeback, a la 2017-18 when Hyperledger and all that stuff was coming. And one of the reasons for that is the connectivity between chains has now improved a lot, but also the compliance teams at those large institutions are not comfortable with public blockchains yet, largely. Obviously, there's been the big exception with BlackRock. The majority of these obviously sit in America, right? These massive financial institutions. So I do think that the changing winds are going to have a huge impact. So what we'll continue to see is obviously the amazing work that like people are doing in crypto right now. So like your Aves, your GMXs, your Compounds, Synthetics, etc., and then like your newer players like your Morphos or Oilers. And in parallel, then the system with the banks, right? So we're already starting to see the desire for them to use real-world assets internally inside of their systems in order to have the benefits of tokenization. If you've ever seen how like a transaction gets settled in traditional finance, it's absolutely insane. There's so much intermediation that needs to take place. It's crazy. So when they look at the efficiency of the markets that we've created, they're like, yes, we want part of that. They're also saying, hey, like we would love to be a DeFi participant, but just not yet. And they do still need pesky things like KYC, AML, that do prevent them. So we're probably going to start to see an emergence of two distinct different sides of open finance, maybe open finance and DeFi, if they kind of go that way. So like trying to link those two things together, no pun intended, obviously that's something we're trying to do at Chainlink, but linking those two things together is like an ultimate goal for us at Chainlink. But the impact that can have then in terms of like bringing those trillions of dollars of assets into a format, into a blockchain format that we know and love, is going to be profound. So there's going to be, obviously, DeFi, open, permissionless DeFi is something that I love personally, and hope that it maintains throughout. But those two emerging aspects are definitely going to be competing for a while. The expectation, I guess, would be that the TradFi, KYC, AML, open finance is probably going to be the one with the larger value. So that's something I think we need to consider as we're designing out the systems that we're going to be working, especially when it comes to DeFi. That would be my overarching kind of like, that's like what I feel is coming and is going to have like the biggest impact.
Thank you for sharing that, because yeah, participating in Chain Labs, you're able to see kind of this big picture and what's coming forward. So very interesting conversation. Leyla, now from your perspective, we were actually having this chat just before the panel around how it is different or difficult for certain communities in the world to have access to like this information, learn how to use financial tools, which is one of the power of blockchains that allows for everyone to participate in the markets. So can you share a bit of like your background? Where did you saw like these problems, and how do you think blockchain will help?
Thank you. So for me, what interested me in the blockchain, to explore blockchain space is to help women have access to finance. I wanted to, because the gap is really big, only 2% of women get funded, and in different geographical area, that percentage is even really large. And I wanted to explore that because the normal route of crowdfunding, the transaction cost was really expensive, and I wanted to see how can blockchain reduce those transaction fees. So that's what we pitched last year, and we're working on that idea. And then this year, this weekend, we kind of try to explore what the work that we happen to find that the work that you are doing with Bankless Academy, how to get access to educational, Web3 educational in other part of the world. This weekend, we kind of explore the access to education in that space, and we realized that in continent like Africa, youth unemployment gap is really large. We saw that in Djibouti, which is a country in northeast of Africa, a youth unemployment rate is 80%, and in South Africa is over 50%, and the education system is so outdated. And Africa is one of the youngest population in the world. Over 60% of the population are under 25. This is over 200 million people. And how can we use technology? How can we upskill these young people and so that they can have access to global workforce and use technology to solve this issue. So this is where I think blockchain has really potential in other part of the world. I think the impact is really huge. Yeah, that's a little bit.
Thank you so much. Considering that we're in a hackathon space, that you were also a builder, and last year as well, can you share, like, what would you think would be best, or what would you like to see future builders work on? Is it like related to the financial aspect, like building projects in this area, or is there any other part of the Web3 development space that you would like to see flourish with life after hacking?
For me, I'm all about finance. So it has to be more access to finance. I think Web3 has bigger potential in that area. You know, how can we mobilize capital from the people who have capital to the people who need the capital, you know, to grow their economy or to get themselves out of really hard, tough situations. Yeah.
Perfect. David?
Yeah, so we don't have a huge diversity of opinion on that because, yeah, like for me, building in crypto is building with finance. I know there's a lot of cool stuff when we had like, we have like some artists in the crowd and like NFTs. And I love that they exist on the same rails that we're building on, but I'm definitely mostly interested in finance as well. And like to touch on the point is like the two distinct areas that I talked about earlier. So like, they're kind of the supply side, right? So they're supplying financial products, and I think that the demand side, so the individual users using those financial products, that's where we have like the weakest of our system right now. So feels like we're all building infrastructure, and we're building financial products, but we're not necessarily making it easy for mass adoption. I'm not just talking about UX, I'm not just talking about wallets and that kind of thing, but because I think that's a hurdle that someone can overcome if they're motivated enough. And I do think it's the financial education, the bringing on board of the people who maybe could have access, or people who couldn't have access but just don't have that literacy or the idea. So I think a lot of people are really trapped in the idea that there's no way they can achieve any sort of financial independence or financial freedom, and that they just keep grinding away to try and break that cycle. And I think having a open, permissionless financial system is bringing further barriers down. There's other barriers that exist, right? So there's like the people in their own head thinking they can't understand finance. People like Ornella and Leyla are breaking those down, so I think that's amazing. But I would love to see more building on that, like on that demand side. On the supply side, we've got like amazing teams like Centrifuge and others like creating financial products that are exceptional. But then on that the user side, it's still really difficult to break through into that mass market.
Thank you for highlighting that. I see that every day, like so much, because kind of staying in the middle of the, I would say in the frontier, right? Like at the entry of the rabbit hole, seeing like the depth in the technology with amazing projects that are being built, but also like seeing that so many people don't know yet about blockchain. So many people that know about blockchain, they don't know about Ethereum, and so on. Like students that are starting financial careers, they haven't had a wallet yet. They haven't done their first transaction. So there's like, hopefully, there could be, as well as many teams building at the same time in parallel, a lot of people using the blockchain, like a lot of educators from the tech side, not just like let's hope that developers start building, but also the end user, like the people that should take a loan on the blockchain, the person that needs to have access to these tools. So definitely, hopefully more people can work in projects, as you say, to kind of leverage and have that adoption at the same time that we're building interesting things. Thank you. Now, Leyla, since you were a participant last year at ETHDublin, and here we might have hackers as well joining us today, how could you leverage, or what was your experience after your past hackathon, and how did the ETHDublin community or the event help you kind of grow and develop your project afterwards?
I think it's just to be able to connect with the community. That was a big impact for me. Get to know Sarsha and Ryan and everybody. I took that the most, that was more valuable. And my team, we ended up having burnout, so we didn't we kind of put it on hold, the project, but we came back this year. My team got me to come back this year, and hopefully we are talking about how can we, get the project back on the go. But just to learn, especially someone like me who don't have, Web3 exposure, just to be in the environment and get to learn about new things, what's happening out there is very valuable. And that's what I value the most. And I think that's it.
Great. Yeah, I remember you mentioned the ideation-thon. That was very interesting. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that's what we do with Setup Weekend. We really help people who have an idea, to come and start exploring it, do their customer validation, do their business model canvas. So really to start be close to your customer and figure out the pain that they have before you build anything. And also to expose women to start tech business, because when a lot of women, they don't have tech background, and that's what kind of, it's a big obstacle for them to start a technology company, but we kind of expose them to that space and telling them that you don't need to have a tech background to be a tech founder. You just need a really good team who are really smarter than you to get you to get your idea off the ground.
Teamwork makes the dream work. All right, David, now the power of the Web3 builder community has been evident and very high all weekend. The ETHDublin team is happy because it's been double past year, and more students from different university and also people that work in the financial system are curious, to come, and also developers with very high skill sets. What do you think is going to happen in the next few years with such a great teams, moving forward and building here?
Yeah, I mean, first off, ETHDublin it's amazing that we have it. So thanks to the team that organized it. I was supposed to be the fourth founder, but I didn't show up to the meetings. And the guys went on. I was busy building the global standard for decentralized Oracle networks, Alejandro. But they've done an amazing thing in terms of building this, and I think it's amazing that we have now this focal point in the year, and it's hopefully going to continue. We met in this room many times at different meetups. If anybody's in the Web3 Ireland Telegram group, it's kind of the digital place that we hang out together a little bit, at least anyway, to keep each other informed. So I think having that community just makes it feel good. So I reckon that most people could identify with sitting at home by themselves in front of their computer, which is amazing. We can get a lot of efficient work done, and obviously we can have Zoom calls and all that kind of thing. But sometimes on a Thursday or Friday, you just want to put down the phone and go out for a beer and talk about crypto with some people. And so having that community is amazing. But now having the focal point is even better. Leveraging that is so important, because no one person, even a really smart person like Paul Ennis, wouldn't even be able to know everything about crypto, right? So it's incredibly difficult. So being able to come out, bounce ideas off different people, is amazing to build up those different applications, protocols that we want to use or build. So having a team around you is incredibly important. So the other thing though is once you have a team like that, it's great that you can work like that, but then inside of the broader crypto ecosystem, I've never witnessed anything like it. Sometimes it feels like we all work for one big organization and we're just different departments. So there's the level of collaboration is way in advance of obviously at some stages some people are competitors, but broadly there's so much collaboration that's insane. I think that is going to continue for the next number of years. People are some of the more innovative, high profile DeFi products that are being built right now, I would say, are Morpho Blue and Euler V2. So they're very much focused on the permissionlessly setting up items within their protocol, so a modular approach to building DeFi protocols. And a modular approach means that different people handle different parts, so it makes it even more collaborative. And so I think platforms like that, so you'd have people like Centrifuge going to Morpho Blue, creating markets there, and then you'd have risk managers managing those different things. So having that modular approach, and so the level of collaboration seems to be increasing over the next few years at least. So hopefully that will continue. And I'd love to see like some of the smaller hacking projects like come out of like the hackathon and really try and drive forward. There are like major protocols out there that have these kind of modular frameworks that you can immediately join and jump into to create financial products and jump in.
Fantastic, yeah. Collaborating, that's how we grow stronger. Leyla, to wrap up this great discussion, do you have any advice for hackers this weekend? How to tap into that amazing energy that David just shared and from your experience as well?
Just have fun. Don't take it too serious. Don't put pressure on yourself. Just enjoy the process, and it's all about networking, really. Meet people as many as you can, and get to know people and plug yourself into the ecosystem after the hackathon, because the community, it's all about community at the end of the day. And that will, inspire you and keeps you going, and be more creative by meeting other people, hearing about other different ideas and games. Yeah, so just connect.
All right, connect. Thank you both for this amazing conversation. Does anyone have any questions? Please, go ahead. Alejandro's coming with the mic.
I'm loud. Okay. I thought I had a microphone. Thanks, Alejandro. Great discussion, and so fantastic to see traditional finance and the new wave of finance coming and meeting in the middle. And Ornella, you brought that conversation together beautifully. Thank you. I was nodding my head in agreement and also shuddering at so many of the points you're making about TradFi. 15 years in the institution and regulation, and those transactions and the complexity come from Treasury and corporate Treasury. It's insane, and the agility that blockchain and DeFi bring to this. I'm mentioning Centrifuge again because they're the ones that brought me to DeFi by just being in absolute awe of what they're doing. And also the point on seeing all of the players as one organization and teams within it. I totally empathize with that. And in fact, I was speaking to a colleague at the Association of the Association of Women in Crypto, who works for Citibank, and she was saying, "Oh, I don't understand how you can remember so many different entities and startups from a voluntary and startup perspective." But just using your point that we're all an ecosystem building together and making sure that we have a future, both regulated and compliance as well as purpose-driven. And then Leyla, you're bringing in the new users and changing the narrative of what crypto is and what it's for. And I think it's so important because one of the startups I work with, Reclosure, they're bringing real-world assets tokenization to the blockchain, and they have both the TradFi section, they have the building their own blockchain platform, and then also a huge network of established traditional assets to trade. And we're going to see more of that as regulation and legislation comes along. So I guess from a question perspective, habits and compliance, what are you teaching people now to be prepared for the regulation that's coming?
Yeah, I mean, teaching is one thing. So, like from my point of view, from where I sit, it's the regulatory aspect is just another data point. So it's how do we bring that on? And obviously, like, you need some privacy preserving ways. I think that's really easily solvable. So it's for us, it's just another data point. So it's being able to bring that on chain in a trustless way, so that you can you don't necessarily need a single arbiter of KYC, AML information, so that you can choose who you're going to trust for that information, and then being able to bring that in at the point where it's needed to enable you to do a transaction where the counterparty demands it, right? So I believe, and I also, I guess, hope that open permissionless DeFi remains a major part of the industry, but we've got to face the fact that, like, when, like, BlackRock's already whitelisting people to access the BUIDL fund, right? And it's I guess it's not the biggest fund in the world ever, right? But it's over 100 million at this point. But so, like, those facilities to be able to whitelist people are all there available. So I don't think there's any large hurdles to KYC DeFi, which some people might cringe at that. So KYC open finance, maybe we could call it. So the education is probably more on the institution side to be able to bring them onto public chains, to enable them the confidence that they can in fact have all those data points that they are legally mandated to be able to use to do counterparty trades.
Leyla, anything to add on that?
I think that was the question for me.
No, it was. I'm bringing people from the non-traditional crypto space into finance. So at the education side for women in particular, how to use these assets. That's huge to what you're doing from both the Techstars, YourY network, and what you're building now.
Yeah, we're just exposing people, with events, with workshop, with community. For example, we kind of really promote this event to our community who are really not Web3 community, just for them to have that exposure. So the more exposure people have, I think the more they get engaged and get really plugged in and start understanding the nuance of things.
And you have fintechs launching from the Techstars Women's Weekend, which I think is applaudable as well. It's working.
Amazing. All right. Thank you so much for this great conversation. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And yeah, kudos to the ETHDublin team for this amazing opportunity.
Yes, thanks very much to you. So just a few things. So this is the last panel. Thank you very much, guys. It was fantastic. Now, if everybody can just go upstairs, hackers are going to be submitting in 5 minutes, slight deadline. And from there, we will have the presentations. There's going to be some music as well, to be a couple of drinks, people can relax a little bit. And after that, we will just announce the winners, and we'll have a brief kind of take on what happened in the last 3 days and see how everybody can get together for bringing 2025 and make it bigger, better, stronger, and just solidify what has been done for the last 2 years.
Convention Center next year, yeah?
Yes, sir. Chainlink is a sponsor.